Owning a Rolex is like flaunting a piece of jewelry. It is a highly coveted sign of wealth and success across the world. However, because there is such a high demand for watches, there is also a thriving industry of fake timepieces that are trying to fool people into thinking they are genuine articles. Maybe you could also be interested in purchasing a Rolex, but before you do so, you should familiarize yourself with how to recognize a fake Rolex so that you can safeguard both your reputation and your money. Well, if that's the case, then stick right to the video, because we are going to discuss some tips and advice that will enable you to recognize a fake Rolex like a seasoned expert. Let's not waste any more time and go right into tip number 1. 1. Buy only from a reputable dealer. The first and best defense against unintentionally buying a fake watch is to buy it from a trustworthy person or retailer. Trustworthy Rolex retailers may be found in almost any major city. You may learn a lot about the legitimacy of a place where you want to buy a Rolex by doing a search on Google. It will feature only trustworthy vendors and provide you access to user feedback. You can check the retailer's review, and if a consumer is unhappy or feels pressured into buying a fake watch the dealer promised was real, then make sure to avoid that. Online purchases from shady sources should be avoided while hunting for a Rolex unless you're an expert on the brand and are willing to meet the seller in a public area. Since no one is checking for genuineness on the other end, online marketplaces like eBay and Craigslist are breeding grounds for fake timepieces. Buying a watch from one of these sites is risky since it might be difficult to get your money back if you realize the watch is a fake after you've already worn it. 2. Spotting from the movement of the second hand. This is a straightforward method that may be used to verify the authenticity of a Rolex. With this trick, anyone can easily tell whether or not a Rolex is legitimate just by examining the movement of the second hand. The second hand of a genuine Rolex will move in very small ticks, which will give the watch the appearance of running smoothly. The second hand of the watch should go across the face of the watch continuously and without stopping. On the other hand, a fake watch would most likely have a second hand that moves erratically across the face as time passes, giving the impression that the watch is ticking. If you are unable to distinguish between the motions using just your naked sight, you should bring the watch up to your ear and listen carefully to it. The second hand of a genuine Rolex watch will be nearly silent, in contrast to the ticking sound that a stuttering second hand will produce as it moves. 3. Check the weight of the watch. The components of a Rolex watch, like any other luxury timepiece, are guaranteed to be of the finest standard. A fake Rolex may be easily identified by simply holding it in your palm. The original Rolex weight should be noticeable, while a fake one would be much lighter. The high-grade metals used in the construction of a genuine Rolex ensure that it will not be particularly lightweight. The lightness of the watch is an indicator that it is made of cheap metal and hence is a fake. This tip is especially relevant to newer models, which typically have bracelets constructed from links comprised of solid stainless steel. The head of the watch, the portion you look at most often, should always be substantial in weight and feel solid. 4. The difference in the crown of the watch. The crown is yet another indicator that a watch is not an authentic Rolex. True Rolexes are meticulously crafted down to the smallest of details. This indicates that even the minute piece of metal that is referred to as the crown and is located on the side of the watch will be detailed and precise. A watch that has a crown that is flat, unremarkable, or appears to have been brushed over should raise a warning signal for you. You will notice that the crowns of many fake Rolex watches are not as detailed as the crowns of real Rolex watches. This is typically the case because the parts of the fake Rolex watch have been pieced together from a variety of sources, and the metal used is not of a high enough quality to withstand the fine detailing found on real Rolex watches. 5. Magnifying date glass. From the date window, you can also spot a fake one. It is typical for Rolex watches to display the date directly on the dial. This feature has become practically synonymous with the brand. You can tell if you have a real watch if the lens, called a cyclops, above the date is convex and feels like a large hump. If the cyclops on your watch is flat, you know it's a replica. The convex lens also makes the date's digits look bigger. With the cyclops, you can make the calendar 2.5 times larger. 6. Identification from serial numbers. The serial number and model number of any given Rolex may be found either between the lugs on earlier models or on the inside of the watch at 6 o'clock on newer ones. It's important to know the specifics in order to recognize a fake, because the serial and model numbers on counterfeit goods sometimes look like those on authentic Rolex watches. The serial number of a genuine Rolex is carved deeply into the metal and can be easily seen. If you hold the watch such that the engraved numbers face the light, you'll see a perfectly symmetrical number illuminated. Instead, a fake Rolex will have a mark that seems a touch less neat and tidy. It will have a lack of precision in line drawing. It is more likely that the impression will appear to be the work of a number of small dots or etchings rather than a single stamp. In addition, most counterfeit Rolex stamps will seem blurry. That is all for today. Feel free to ask any questions about today's video in the comments section below. We'll see you in the next video.